Hello and welcome to another session on the IELTS test. This session we are going to look at the reading module. We're just going to look at the structure of the test and the different things that it assesses and what are the types of questions that you can come across. My name is Farooq and let's get started with the presentation. So the number one thing we look at is the structure of the test, and very importantly, the time that's given to you, allotted time for completing the test. It's 60 minutes to complete the test. Please note that there is no extra time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet, unlike in listening where you have 10 minutes if you do the paper-based test, where you can transfer the answer to the answer sheet. In the reading test, there is no extra time. I'm emphasizing on this because I have come across a lot of candidates who miss out on writing the answers on the answer sheet and do not score anything. So make sure you are also putting this the time that you use to write the answers in the answer sheet, or you're accounting that when you divide the number of the number of minutes you need to allocate to every task. All right, so like listening, you have again 40 questions that you have to answer. However, there will be 3 to 6 different reading texts with a minimum of over 2000 words. 3 to 6 is because the academic and the general training module of the test is different, which means the academic students get a different paper, the general training students get a different paper. The academic tests the texts have been written for non-specialist audience, but again, it is something close to the academic paper. So you will have specialized or a specific field that you get the passages from. While on the other hand, the general training module is about everyday life or work related situations. But again, all the topics that you come across the reading test or reading module is of general interest, not very specific fields of study, but closer to the academic one. And then general training is more related to everyday situation and work related topics. Now, as I said earlier, there is a different paper for the general training and academic. So let's look at the academic first. You get the time remains the same, is just 60 minutes, and the number of questions remain the same. It's 40 questions that you need to answer. What you will find in the academic, and this is a difference between this and the general training test, is in academic test you get 3 long reading passages with tasks. So each passage 1, for example, comes with 13 to 14 questions, and similarly passage 2 and passage 3. So the total number of questions is 40, and each of them will have 13 to 40 questions. The texts are they range from descriptive to factual, sometimes very analytical as well. They also include non-verbal material such as diagrams or illustrations, and they are taken from authentic sources. What we mean by authentic sources is that they have appeared in newspapers, in journals and magazines, etc. Right. Moving on to the general training reading module. As I mentioned, the time and the number of questions is the same. The difference lies in how many passages you get. Unlike academic, you don't get passage 1, 2, and 3. You get section 1, 2, and 3. Section 1 contains 2 to 3 factual texts about everyday life. This could be taken from a newspaper, a company promotional material, or an instruction manual. You get shorter passages, and they divide the questions. So in section 1, the first task can have maybe 8 questions, and the remaining 9 or 8 questions in the other one, or 7 questions in the second one. Similarly, section 2 also sometimes contains 1 or 2 short work-related factual texts. Similarly, again, if there's 2 tasks, then you get that divided. The number of questions are divided. If not, then all of them are asked in that one passage. Section 3 is where you get a longer text of a general topic of general interest. It's not too closely related to the academic questions, but it's somewhat taken from there. So it could be taken from a newspaper or a magazine. And as I mentioned, section 1 and 2 could also be from company handbooks or official documents and books or newspapers. That's the authentic sources that you get, both the academic and general training passages. All right, so here's the look at the band score and the conversion that that you can achieve. So let's look at the academic reading first, and we're looking at a raw score of a total of 40 because you have 40 questions. Each question carries 1 mark. So if you if you're able to answer 39 or 40 questions right, you get band 9, which is the highest. If you answer 35 questions right, you get a band 8, and then it reduces. So 30 right answers gives you a band 7, 23 gives you 6, etc. In general training reading module, the highest again is 39, 40, you get a band 9. If you answer 38 correct, you get band 8, 34 you get a band 7, 30 you get 6, 23 you get a band 5. Again, as always, taken from the IELTS.org website. That's the band conversion that you have for the reading test. Here's a quick look at the different tasks that you come across in the in the reading module. The important point to note here is that the kind of questions or the type of tasks you receive are the same. The approach is the same. The reading techniques remain the same. What differs is just the passage itself. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, the academic tests, you could get passages from newspapers, journals, or magazines, while and from academic related sources. While for a general training module or the test, you get articles or parts, passages from newspapers or company manuals, instruction manuals, etc. So the kind of questions you receive are the same. So let's quickly look at the type of questions you could come across. Multiple choice questions, very similar to the ones that you find in the listening module, where you will have 2 or 3 options, sometimes more, and you choose the right one after reading the passage. You could also be identifying information. You're looking at reading a passage and figuring out where a particular information appears. Or you're also identifying a writer's view or opinion. Read the passage and understand what the writer is trying to convey. You could also match information, match headings, matching the features, matching sentence endings. Very similar, because you're reading for inference, you're reading for details, you're figuring out where a certain where can you find a certain information, which paragraph does it appear in, or you could also, that's matching information. You can have headings where they give you a question like here are the headings, which heading matches which paragraph is appropriate to which paragraph. So you read the paragraph, form a general idea of what the paragraph is trying to convey, and choose the most appropriate heading or title for that particular paragraph. You could also have matching features, matching sentence endings. You could have sentence completion, like filling the blanks. You could have a summary or a note completion, a flowchart completion, and you could also have diagram label completion. You could also have a short answer. So you're looking at summary, which means a paragraph is paraphrased, and you just fill out important words or the right words from the passage. Very important aspect of the reading is the synonyms. Reading tests, and in fact to a large extent listening tests, makes use of both the tests. You make use of the synonyms, where the questions are paraphrased, not given exactly as they appear in the text, but it is left to us to identify what the meaning is, identify the meaning of the words, and find out where the answer lies. And for both listening and reading, it's important to write the exact word that you find in the passage or in the audio clip. You cannot paraphrase, you cannot write the synonyms. You need to choose the right word appearing in the paragraph or in the text, as I mentioned. All right, so those are the tasks that you have. That's the reading test. Let's just do a quick recap. Remember, reading for the reading test, academic and general training candidates receive different papers, and it's important for us to look at the papers and figure out if that's the right paper for you. It is generally written in bold. Second important point, you do not have extra time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And my suggestion is to divide the time between the three passages or three sections. So section 1, because it is again similar to listening, easiest of the three, you spend maybe about 12 to 15 minutes on that. Section 2 is a little more difficult, so you spend maybe 12 to 15 minutes again. And section 3 is the toughest, so you spend more time on that, maybe about 20 minutes. So you still have about 5 to 10 minutes left if you follow this time frame. When you have the extra time, you certainly can use it to review your answers and also to write your answers in the answer sheet. Remember, because there's no time, you have to make time yourselves. And another important aspect of the reading test is synonyms. You need to understand the meaning of the questions, identify where the answer could lie, and read for inferences. You could also have a question like true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, which is quite tricky at times. So here it is important for us to read in detail, figure out exactly what the question's asking you and what the passage says, and answer accordingly. While those are the aspects we need to pay attention to in reading, spelling's definitely important, both in listening, reading, in fact, even in writing. It is important to read the questions first and then look at the passage. We will discuss the structure or the tips and strategies to answer these questions, or how to tackle the reading test in our following subsequent videos. But if you have any questions, please get back to me. We'll be happy to answer. And that's it in this session. Thank you very much for watching.